the biggest supply of hoodies and t-shirts and jerseys and hats possible. And that's kind of true. I wear RailCats gear. I put Mudmots gear on. I put the hats on. I love doing that stuff. I'm a pretty casual person, even in my tech business here. The last time you put on a button shirt, I can't even remember. I only do it on Sundays. Sundays when I go to church with the family here. So I have that, and then she reminds us that's a darn expensive hoodie.
Yes.
He's high in the air. Left field. This one's got a chance. And let's go on a cowhide. Joyride. Sound the horn. The RailCats clear the yard.
Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to the RailCats Talk podcast. He's Chuck Polarek, I'm Kyle Svetich, and today we have the special guest, the owner of the RailCats, Mr. Joe Eng. Joe, how are we doing this lovely Saturday morning?
Good morning to both of you. Good to see both of you. And before we get started, I'd like to introduce you some guests that happen to be visiting my brother here, and I just want to send a well wishes. My sister-in-law Sandra is going through some health challenges, and we're here to support her. So I'm here helping my brother and visiting Sandra in Houston, Texas, and I'm here. And one of my jobs this weekend is to tend to help out and
Aw.
tend to their dogs here. So just letting you know, Troy and Harris are very excited to be part of the podcast.
I hope everything's going well with her.
Yeah.
It's thank you for the well wishes, and we're just like I'm sure you would do with any member of your family or extended family. You do what you can to do the best you can here. But I just wanted to I appreciate you letting me use the podcast as a way to just if they happen to be watching it when it comes out recorded, as you have many visitors or growing visitorship, that they can just know that I wish them all the best. We're all here to help.
That's the wonderful thing about the podcast is it'll be on YouTube forever.
Yep.
So 200 years after we're gone, they'll still be saying, "Hey, Joe is the owner of the RailCats."
Yes.
But good to see both of you. Very, very, and I appreciate the invitation to come back. I come back and look forward to it.
Yeah, I mean we're excited to have you on. I mean, it's nice to get to know the owner and get to know the front office sometimes on certain things. I know you just got back, well, recently from the owners meetings and you guys had in Chicago. What were a couple of things that you guys discussed, or maybe some things on the docket that you're able to share to the public?
Well, it's always good to be part of this group here that is the American Association. Not only Josh Schwab, but all the other my colleagues that are owners that are very vested in not only their individual teams and businesses, but also the league as a whole here. So, just great things going on. We discussed the
Mhm.
All-Star game and all the events that occur with that, and we're looking forward to being there in Fargo and it's a great testament of Brad Tome. And I make sure if I did not pronounce the name correctly, I apologize that he and his team are doing so much to put that together. And also, I don't know if this is public here, but also his his he had a member of his family recently pass away. So we continue to provide all prayers and condolences and wishes. But Brad's just a great person. They run a great operation, great business there, and we're looking forward to that to our version of the Midsummer Classic, the
There you go.
American Association Midsummer. So that was one subject we discussed here. Hey, we discussed the league as a whole, not only the baseball part of it, but of course, I think you would also understand that several of our teams here are also quite active in the, let's call it, the non-baseball. It could be
Mhm.
other sports or other entertainment and culture and community events, as we try to do here in Gary and Northwest Indiana. So it's great to listen, learn, and see, learn about what they're up to, whether they're doing something around the end of the year holiday period, or they're doing some things here with preparing for the season. So it's good to get together. All the owners are very vested.
We just had recent ownership change over here in Kane County that's been really bothering me.
Okay.
Uh,
Yes, bring it up. I
because
should have mentioned that. That was also discussed as well. But again, I hadn't forgive me for not mentioning that, but I'm glad Chuck you mentioned that. I didn't quite keep up with the time calendar of when it would be made public. So obviously it has been. So go
yeah,
ahead.
the same ownership with two teams in the same division to me kind of
Yeah.
it's a precedence for something that I don't like.
Say more.
Uh,
Say more. Say more.
I would hope that there's some sort of a requirement for there being some sort of a brick wall. Like when the same law firm handles both sides of a case, right? That there's no kind of collusion or anything like that that could kind of set. Uh,
Yes. Yeah, Chuck, that's a fair point. So that was a topic of discussion of multiple ownerships and multiple team ownerships, and so that has now occurred. And I think I look at it this way. I understand what you're saying, but I can look at it this way. One is better to know who is around the table. So you have the Cleburne ownership group stepping in, and again, maybe I should also use this as a public forum to that we were all very appreciative of Dr. Bob and his tenure as the owner, and I think he did it on the top,
Yeah.
right, with the championship,
yep, yep.
and wish him up, but also to bring in a known group here with Cleburne and the group there. But I think I get your point, and that was a topic of discussion about how does that work at the league level, how to make sure that the baseball operations aspects um, are done on the table transparently. Hey, will there be trades between can there be trades? There shouldn't be stopping that, but again, I think to your point where I think we're all of the notion here to make sure that this is done all on the table, above board, and we all kind of know what is good versus, let's call it, not so good.
So you
That-
feel confident that it's not necessarily a bad thing.
That's not necessarily the bad thing here, and I think Josh and the owners, and I think you guys would know this, whether it's what me entering into American Association or what we're doing in Mississippi with the Frontier League. We'll table that for if you want to talk about that as a subject here. I think there's several of us that bring not only the financial backing, but also the operational experience and also the desire and passion to grow our businesses in this sports and entertainment. So Chuck, I hope to please take it the right way. The day I become a multiple owner in the American Association, if that were to come, so let's not turn this. That's a hypothetical. I
Right.
hope. I hope you'll be okay with that.
It would be fine as long as you don't find two schmucks like us to do a podcast. That because we don't want the competition within the American.
Yeah, no, this is the only niche podcast of one team. We don't need another niche podcast of another team.
No,
No, no,
Okay,
no.
okay.
It's just
So,
one.
so to your point, Chuck, here, if that were to occur here, to what you said, the wall, so to speak, or the brick wall here, you two can't do that podcast for that second team if that were to occur in American
we're
Association.
we're fine with that.
I
Okay, all
I
right.
think at that point we would just make it league wide, and then we
Right.
would just
Okay, all right.
so
There
we
you go.
would
There you go.
But no, I mean, I guess what is the biggest takeaway that from that owners meeting that you guys had?
I wouldn't say there was anything like when you say biggest takeaway. When I heard that statement, Kyle, I think of like something. Oh my goodness! Here, there was no. Oh my goodness! I mean, this is a well-run
Mhm.
league with a good set of owners, well vested. We have a great league office with the two Joshes, right? And again, it's sometimes this is running a good league, and a good league is the thing here. So we certainly discussed Kane County. We discussed the All-Star game, the subjects that you brought up here, Chuck, about how does multiple ownership thing, and it's not a new subject. It's not a new subject. So don't think of it also as something that it just came up this past one because of the Kane County situation. This has been a subject that's been on it. So when it happened, it wasn't like, we were all, looking around the room like, what do you do now?
So bringing up the All-Star, you know, the previous GM has given me a box of stuff from previous RailCats history, right? And some of the things that came up were us hosting the All-Star game and how awesome of an event that was. Do you see something like that happening in the future?
I won't rule it out.
Mhm.
I will not rule it out. But it's nothing immediately. So when you say future, very open-ended. That's why I can say not rule out. Foreseeable future, then I would be more clear with you. It's not in the foreseeable future. But I would never rule it out here. There's a lot that goes into taking the lead on that. And I think as I've shared with the two of you in the previous time I was on this podcast, and also as we've interacted, whether interacted throughout here, we're very focused on the baseball side of it. We're focused on that experience aspect at the SteelYard in the community, and I hope you two and others would see we're making steps here, but we also see it as a journey here, and so we need to keep pushing through that and pushing through it. So we got a lot to do here. So when we want to be ready, I don't want to take on something and kind of, I don't need what is it? Got to get my baseball scoring sheet. E5. I don't need an E5 or something like that on this one because it's a big deal.
It is. It is absolutely. And getting to that, you sent me an email where you hinted at something big coming to the SteelYard. We've discussed it a couple of times. We're on the edge of our seats here. Not really, but I should be on a recliner, and if I was, I'd fall off. What's the big news at the SteelYard?
Yeah, I'll say it's a continuing positive dialogue with the city of Gary, the mayor's office here. There are some things that are more back office that they've committed to change because this is a 20 plus year old facility. I still argue, and I think I could win that debate, one of the best in the league, if not across all my certainly MLB partner leagues. But I need some TLC here, and the city and the mayor have committed to doing some infrastructure changes. I mean, as simple as, you say as simple as, but it's a big deal. Like, some of the infrastructure, like the hot water heaters, have got to get changed out here, right? No hot water heaters, no operations.
Right.
But we are working on some other things here that I'm not prepared to make public yet. Yeah, I'm not ready. But I want to let you and the audience know here that we continue to pursue them. We have a very collaborative discussion with the mayor. I think you folks would know there's challenges in the city of Gary and the community with some of the I think they're public record about some of the financial things that went on in the past here that I think Mayor Melton is dealing with it in straight up that he has to deal with, that are kind of things from the past that he has to go deal with here, and we have to be cognizant about that. But I will certainly let you folks know when I can, but they're works in progress. And
Okay.
but I
All
hope the thing I can share with you two and your viewership here is that as was recently done here, and we have now a full season of the second floor. There is that. I think there is that partnership to continue to advance the SteelYard because it needs to be.
I think, you're going back to your discussion about the SteelYard being one of the better MLB partner league fields. I think by far, I mean, we talk to players, we talk to people outside that are involved with organizations that do agree with that aspect of it and the field quality and all that. I mean, so yeah, being a little TLC is always a good thing. But
behind the scenes.
Yes.
I mean, I think everyone wants to see all the front of house, what I call front of house things, which was previous years here, and we shouldn't underestimate that. And that is something we're looking forward to a full year of operation on. I think we're already seeing the benefits of such. but they're also back of the house, what I call back of the house that no one see. But boy, if you didn't pay attention to that stuff here, it would show up in your front of house like you
Yeah.
couldn't come into the front of house anymore here. I'd also say here, so this is the reason why this is work in progress and very important here is again, I don't want to make light of and be dismissive. The home games and the home schedule we put on is very important for us, for the community. That's why the two of you do the podcast here, and we're excited about that. I'm looking forward to hopefully that's what we could talk about as well here. But as I said, and I think it's been said before, and it already is the case, the SteelYard and surrounding is meant to be
Mhm.
a platform for the city of Gary and for Northwest Indiana, right? I mean, it's not just, and so we are trying to think through, and that requires us to keep working on this there about those things that can be done beyond just the RailCats baseball home games. Here, we already do things and hosting community events and graduation ceremonies. We want to provision other things that could be broader community events here. We have to work those through here but that's what we're looking forward to doing here. Whether they kind of like comboed or packaged together with the baseball,
Mhm.
or they are just taking advantage of when the team's on the road or the quote unquote seasonal off season, which, as I think for the front office side of the house, is not off season,
No.
it's full season, full
Right.
season. But so those are the things, hopefully it gives you a sense of what we're thinking about here in terms of, again, the experience, the contribution to not only the baseball, the community that enjoys coming out and enjoying the baseball part, but also I think there's a venue. There's a venue here that we like to get some more contribution to the community with, and so we're thinking through some of those things. And I hope you'll see those coming. They won't be a matter of days or weeks, but in the matter of the coming months here, hopefully we can make some public statements about the kinds of other events that we're going to go put out there, market. Hopefully those become attractive for the broader community to come attend. And that will again continue. It's a kind of self-fulfilling cycle here of revitalizing the city of Gary, which is the mayor's intent, and also the broader community of Northwest Indiana.
You mentioned the back house stuff. Uh, there's a position that plays both back house stuff and front house stuff, and that is the position of your social media person that you guys have picked up. And I just want to applaud you for
Yes.
that.
Isn't she a gem?
Yes,
You're doing
Isn't she a
absolutely.
gem?
job. We
Noel.
really enjoy
Mhm.
people outside of. I know the people that are there. Kyle knows the people that are there, but the fans, there's a lot of fans that don't. And keeping RailCats baseball relevant in the off season, which is what I see her doing, is a fantastic job.
Yes.
So I would be dismissed if I didn't mention that was a great hire. And some other things is that I'm seeing from that I'm excited about. Knowing that the suites you're going to have another a full year of having those suites done, I think is fantastic.
Mhm.
Knowing that you've still got somebody like Taylor there that is very passionate about her job. Just fantastic people in the office.
We're very pleased. There's always changes that occur. That's just the state of life, right? Life in
Right.
general. People,
Mhm.
and we applaud when people advance themselves in their next thing here, because that's great. But yes, Noelle joining, bringing her experience and her passion for the subject here. And I think you're seeing Anthony, myself. I mean, I will not say I'm the most social media involved as an individual. I think I shared that with you. Like I'm kind of almost like dormant myself individually. Social media. That's a different story about just my personal choices and lifestyle, whatever here. But I understand. And I think you guys understand, right? We're here to put a great in-person experience at the SteelYard and the surrounding community, right? It's not just the
Mhm.
SteelYard. Rusty, I think I've mentioned, and I think it'd be hands down the winner. Rusty Rusty is is the most popular, well recognized member of the RailCats, and so Rusty does a great service in the steel yard for the events we have and outside and outside, whether it's schools or community events and the like here. But I think you're seeing this thing here, and I agree with Chuck. It's especially when we're in the off season, which again for the front office is not off season, it's full season. To Hey, I hope it makes it fun. It's interesting. You get a little bit of behind the scenes. You get to know some of the players because we do a little bit of that kind of stuff here. We get the fan base more engaged, right? I think there's this thing going on about the kind of in the March Madness bracket
Mhm.
thing with the jerseys that are going on. Pick your favorite jerseys, and it gives you some insight into the people that here. Some people may know Taylor for a little while because she's been a mainstay, but you get to meet some of the other folks of the team here that are really focused on how they can contribute to when you come to SteelYard or when they see you in the community, they see you at the bowling league. It's a personal relationship, and Noelle is she's just a gem here. I love that thing where they wrapped up Andrew's office. I was told about that, and they did that thing with just a little personality with the jelly beans, and they
Mhm.
allow me to do some things here. I try to do a little bit of a thank you message and also a holiday message here
Yep.
because I hope you see I recognize I don't live in the area. But I still am very vested in interacting with the community and letting you know that this is a very personal experience for all of us.
Yeah, I would say I know this is what gonna be my fourth, fifth season doing this. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that was in the off seasons, not having a lot of social media presence. I felt like one big improvement that the organization needed to make, and this year's blown me out of the water. Just being able to go, and it's just not, oh, we signed this player, here's the article, then we go on our merry way, or here's the Christmas, thank you guys for coming, or a Merry Christmas, that kind of stuff. It's more or less you get to see the personality of an Andrew Mile, the Dave K, Anthony, all you
Yeah.
get to see the little bit more personality. So when you go to the steel yard, you know who these people are and they're putting in the work and effort. And that just goes, oh, that guy's wearing a polo. He just must be either a really big fan or he works here. I'm not sure who he is. So like that part of it. Uh,
Also the players as well, right?
yeah, the
Also the
players.
players as well. And so I think we're trying to do more of that here because I think we're seeing social media as another way to engage people, as you do, right? The podcast is a way to engage people in a different way here. So I think that's how we view it here. And to your point, you're right. It's not just a classic. Here's the lineup. Here's a signing. That doesn't mean those things are important here, but how do inside look, a
Mhm.
little bit of the personality, a little bit of maybe something, behind the scenes type of thing, and also make it fun, right? So I think there's some of the things that Noel's encouraging the team to do, the front office team to do here is and what's the proverbial let your hair down a little
Yep.
bit, right? That's the saying, right? Because it's not just getting to know you, kind of, you gotta smile when you see some of the stuff these folks do here to
Absolutely.
make it fun, right? Because
Yeah.
this is about fun.
Speaking of fun, and now me and Chuck have spent many of times
Okay,
talking about promotions and all that other
you
fun
do.
jazz. What?
But hold on a
Oh, no, no,
second.
no, 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 no,
Joe,
no.
do you
Oh,
listen to our podcast? I kind of
I
get the
I
feeling
I do. I do. I
that is
do.
so. That's
I
four
do.
people
okay.
that listen now.
Okay, okay, all right. So four, we're up to four people. All right, got it.
I do. I do. Can I say before we get to um I really the fact that you two take the time to isn't it, Chuck? You said that your W-2 statement on this podcast um is not much to look at, I suspect. Um
Still waiting
so
for it. Still waiting for it.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
so so am I.
it's in
I'm
the
losing.
mail. It's in the mail, and Kyle will tell you that the mail is a little slow or something like that. I don't know. But
Well, I'm still waiting to make money. I'm not. I'm still losing
okay,
money.
okay.
So,
But I think it shows the just like our front office team, Noelle. I mean, again, it's part of her job here, but You two are do this. You love it. You have a passion for it. It's very evident about it. Um, evident about it. Hey, you also have opinions. You get a little bit opinionated. I'll leave that alone. Leave that alone here. And so, in some sense, you're also for your own. I mean, clearly, it's got to be for your own benefit. You guys get a kick out of it,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and you enjoy doing this. And I think you're probably getting some feedback from people, and you're getting the feedback generally from me. Is like, yeah, it's kind of fun to see you guys. Go off on stuff here, and some of the stuff is like, okay, wherever, whatever, whatever. But I think that's what it is here, and I wouldn't be surprised, especially in the off season. Just like that's why Noel's doing all these things here. You know, when you get into baseball season, you got games, you got highlights, you got all that stuff here. Although we don't want to, we still want to mix up all the this stuff, but especially in this quote unquote off season when it's pretty cold.
Yeah, there's nothing
You know?
much.
It's pretty cold.
I just want to say, Joe, you said that some of our stuff goes off. That's all his fault. I have nothing to do with that.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
sure.
When we have our pre-meetings that can go on for hours and our post meetings from the podcast, really it's always his stuff that brings
Yeah.
us off the rails.
And anyways, so I'm
I
gonna
try to bring quality product every time.
okay, I'm gonna bring it back on track here, Chuck, real quick. My question was with MLB partner leagues and my independent baseball or whatever you want to call it in general.
MLB
People-
partner. MLB partner.
People want our teams are able to take risks on like promotions or on field, anything like that. I guess is there maybe in talks of not what goes on the field, but like in-field entertainment or maybe promotions that you guys wanting to try to take a risk on this year?
So I think that's the beauty. And so you say independent, I'm not going to get too parsing on words, right? Tomato, tomato, potato, potato, But I think I want to distinguish it is an MLB partner league, and there is an aspect of our not one team, but the entire league and that branding. Let's not make light of that here. That said, if we were to have a full set podcast of the difference between independent or MLB partner versus affiliated, there's a big difference in what we can do, here. And so I hope you're starting to see that in terms of what we're trying to do in outside. I think I said outside the lines, in between innings. But we also have to recognize that that Lamar is putting together a professional baseball team that is here to compete wins and losses. It is entertainment for our community. These young men are here to hone their craft, to compete, to advance themselves individually and collectively, team. And we're all human beings. I think we're all driven to say, how do we put more W's on the board? So I think that's a difference here. That's a difference here when you have to do this. We'll involve our players. We want them to be part of the inside, the behind the scenes stories. They do the signings and they light up the smiles and the big glassy eyes of our younger people here. But when they on the field here, this is not about gimmicks and stuff like that. Because that's not what we do here. I give all credit to the Savannah Bananas. If I kind of maybe go off and depart a little bit on that, because that's a wonderful story about what's been done there, and I give all credit and all innovation there. But that we're here to go play competitive baseball. Right. There's a championship that we would like to pursue. We have not necessarily been in competing for that recently here, but there's nothing that's been like, hey, how do we figure that side of the house? And so, maybe I went on a little bit of a tangent here, but or a diatribe here, but we're MLB partner. It does mean we need to go field a product out there on the field. And that's our intent here, to go compete. And also because these young men are using the RailCats, the American Association, as a platform for their professional careers.
Right. You kind of opened up the door on this one, so
I
I
guess I did.
to just walk right through this.
Please.
One of the things with having this podcast is we wind up uh, being sometimes the stomping mat of other podcasts or other people that when they look at Gary, they bring up questions or make comments that we have a hard time defending sometimes. One of these things is that we had by far the worst record in RailCats history last year with 30 wins and 70 losses. And our follow up to that is to bring back 2/3 of that team, 14 players out of the 26 that we've signed are players that we lost 70 games with. And the other 12 players that we've signed, based off their statistics, don't have much upside. And so, what resources have we added, or have we given, or have we leveraged to try to get a better team on the field when it feels like, from a fan's perspective, we're retreading the same thing over and over again?
Chuck, very fair points and questions. What I can say in response is we're going to have to see how it works out on the field. I will make these comments, these statements very candidly, forthrightly, generally. What I can't figure out any other adjective. Um, we are here. I'm here to back Lamar. I really appreciate him as a manager and also as a person.
Right.
Any of us have got to perform. And he knows it. And you don't think he doesn't like this? It does not help him. And so he knows he's got to perform. And I'll say a couple of things. It's not because of money. I think some of you know, and I won't go into too many details. There's kind of a salary cap kind of thing here it's not like we're holding back and being like the what do you call it? The
Oakland
some
A's.
small Oakland. Well, yeah, they're spending money this year, so that's why
Wow.
I was about to say go Oakland A's, but they're you go by the facts they've been spending a little bit of money this year as they moved to Sacramento. But yes, that kind of like, hey, lowest on the payroll side. Not true, not true. Um, uh, Lamar Lamar has incentivization built in for himself to field but not just field, produce a competitive team here, and we're going to see how it works out on the field here. So I think we've tried to give him the resources in terms of the salary cap aspects. I think we are also, and I'm a big believer in it, and this also goes for our front office team about like, hey, when we can grow the business or we can get more competitive and put more wins and losses on the board, hey, not only do I as an owner benefit, you will benefit as well. We tried to
Grow the pie.
design those kinds of, let's say, contracts,
Yep. Grow the pie.
right? That says there's upside and downside.
Right.
And we win together, we lose together. And so let's see how it works out on the field here. I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to perform better. Maybe there's another way to say it. How could it's got to go up. There's not much more room to go down.
You're correct. There's 30 more games, but that being said, when you look at we've had this discussion and maybe you've heard it, uh, independent baseball, MLB partner league type of a thing. There's very few managers. You saw last year where you had a carousel of 3 managers between Frontier League and American Association that just basically rotated spots. It seems as though it's very hard to be connected or to have those outside resources, contacts with agents, to get the first swing at when a player is available, that kind of a thing. That those connections, that network is something that takes some time to build up. And so, do you think that maybe the reason why the roster is the way that it is starting now, or for the past couple of years, is because Lamar is working on building up that network, working on making those connections?
I think you would know better the history of Lamar and the RailCats. And I don't want to take up too much time of the podcast because I think all of us have kind of a hard stop, or at least some of us have a hard stop. But someone has to get on a plane pretty soon, I think, or something like that. Um, is that yeah, I think there's an aspect of is it been difficult and painful to watch and be part of? Me, Lamar as well. But there's a process, and we want to give it some time here, and that's why he's here. He's signed up for this coming season. I'm very supportive of it. I'm very excited for what he's trying to do here, and I want to see it played out on the field. I think also here, again, this is going to sound very maybe trying to come up with some excuse or exception, and please don't. I don't want anyone to see it that way. If you think back last year, a very tough season on the field. Um, Bunch of folks, a bunch of players, we lost a bunch of players for time with injury. We had some challenge here trying to get certain players we had projected in because of some of the paperwork aspects here, especially when you're not a US citizen aspect here. So we're trying to work through those things. Again, I want to be careful because I don't want to sound like, well, it wasn't really us. I mean, again, we
Right,
own it
right.
because the results are the results here. So, but we're trying to take that into context here and say, okay, can we get a few more breaks our way? If the ball bounces our way a little bit, would that have been that we've been a little bit more competitive? Because I think you recall last year we had a couple of time periods where you go, hey, they went on a couple, like a couple of win streaks, and it was a little earlier on, certainly in the first half, right? There was a couple of those, and then it kind of like skidded off. Let's get it off. And that I think that's so you gotta take all these things in the balance here. But I cannot say enough here that we're frustrated with it. We need to do better. We intend to do better, and we're going to see how that works out here, and try to put the tools or make sure that the things that may be real or perceived that would be roadblocks or hurdles are clearly out of the way here. And I give you all affirmation that's the case here. And let's go see what we put on the field and see how we get a couple. But I think we also, like anything, you need a couple things kind of go your way. And
Absolutely.
last year, we did not have a lot of things go our way.
Absolutely.
Was
That was rough.
the
It was
the
rough. It was rough. Yes. Rough.
the the discussions, with seeing the roster this year versus the rosters in the past. I think the first roster that Lamar kind of put together was a lot of players that he knew when he was kind of coaching with the not Arizona, Astros organizations. And then the last year we saw a lot of international players. This year we're not seeing a lot of those international players. Was that a conversation to kind of being had between the organization and Lamar was like, hey, maybe we need to peel back on that kind of stuff?
It's a reflection on, hey, we had a little bit, or Lamar had a little bit of a plan to go a certain path. I think he would be more specific. I think another thing I'd say is I want to give Lamar the space to do what Lamar
Mhm.
does. Just like I want to give the space for Anthony to do what Anthony does, or Noel to do what Noel
Right.
does, especially Noel, right? I mean, what do I do here? I don't even get. I have 2 followers on Instagram. I'm not going to help Noel on Instagram, right? I think I share that with you. So, yes, but that was, I think, you're going to see a more purposeful change, partly because um, uh, there's a process of trying to get those professionals in, those folks in. And so I think we're trying to figure out a little bit of a different mix, a different complement. So yeah, I think you guys are noticing that, and we'll see how that, ultimately we'll have to see how it plays out, right?
Now, I do want to say, we've mentioned it over and over again. This time, say it to you. I think Lamar gets it.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
one of the things that uh, I've I've talked to a lot of managers within the league, just sitting where we sit, and had conversations with coaches or what have you. And there's a lot of guys that are very standoffish, won't talk to fans, won't, they kind of hide in the corner, and that's their focus, is to just be, I'm a manager and I don't have to deal with all this other stuff. And Lamar's an extremely friendly fan based guy,
Yes.
and
Yes.
he gets the big picture of, it's not just the product on the field, but it's also the experience. And I think that that's something that you don't get very often.
Very interconnected, and that's one of the things we appreciate. Again, we have to measure the on-field or between the lines performance, wins and losses. Can we compete for the playoffs? Do we make it more interesting in the second half of the season that we're much more in contention? We'll even say it, right? We don't need this to be that the fans are walking in the gates and before they even hit their seats, we're already down X runs by, right? I mean, that's not a
Oh,
good situation. That's not a good
no.
situation. And by the way, not even for the preponderance of our fans that are not going to be like maybe you want, both of you and others that are much more kind of leaned in on the baseball
Mhm.
aspect of it. I think we also have to recognize that, right? I mean,
Right.
recognize that. But even for those that are more casual, it's tough to watch, tough to be part of here. But he gets it, and it's a very interconnected thing here. And so I think we mentioned here that his coaching staff, the team, the roster, it's about their capabilities as professional athletes and in that industry. But we're also, I think we mentioned character.
Yes.
Character. We want to have a team that we can be proud of, even when we lose. We are members of our community. We're going to help out in the community. We're going to make a impression with our youth before and after. Those are important aspects that we fundamentally believe in our culture, and I think that's what I appreciate about what we have going on here. Is that's never been in question here. We just got to figure out how to get all the things to snap together here,
I agree.
and figure out how to do all of it or more of it. And we've struggled.
So you've decided to stick both feet in the well of partner league baseball,
Yeah, am I
and,
crazy?
and pick yourself up. You loved Gary so much you decided to have another child. And have you taken things from Gary? Is there anything specific that you've taken from Gary as you integrate into starting this new team? Or is there anything from starting the new team, any lessons that you're like, hey, I need to bring this over to Gary?
Yeah. So first of all, they are we're very excited. But I want to let you two and your viewership know that what is it? First child Gary, first son or daughter Gary. I want to make sure that's very clear, and that's true. That is true here, and we got to make it work here. I think I want to say here, while we will get some synergies between the two, we use the same ticketing system, the
Mhm.
Tixar system, that allows us to get some economy of scale. We probably can share some best practices and online. Alex can speak with his um, counterpart Matthew in Mississippi, and they could do some things similarly. But we are also very respectful. They're two different
Mhm.
markets. They are two different markets, and that's why we have two front office teams on the ground, working it because they're two different markets with differences. There's two different mayors. There's two different. So
Right.
there are some similarities, but I want to be careful that this doesn't turn into like holograms of the front office of Gary or holograms of the front office of Mississippi, and we're doing something in HQ. There is no HQ, you know. I'm HQ. That's it.
There you go. There you
Right,
go.
I should say that. Actually, there is a pretty strong presence here. Brian Leiter, I think many of you know Brian Leiter. He's very involved, and I'm very fortunate to have Brian working with me as a partner, as a partner here, in not only to help Anthony, but also to help us get Mississippi started. So I think he and I kind of float between the two and figure out how to get that. Again, sharing on some of the system stuff, sharing on some best practices. And I think it's very evident. I mean, you really can't make this up. You just can't make this up. How Brian and I kind of got into this, right? You have um, uh, David Kerr,
Mhm.
who was the assistant general manager of Mississippi, who was, remember, the front office team in Gary.
Yeah.
I don't know, right?
Yep.
I mean, and David Kerr and David K, got to get my DKs and D Kerrs. They know each other and are pretty good with each other. It's amazing, right? I'll say it before you say it, right? I mean, our field manager in Mississippi,
Yep.
I mean, I guess there's a little bit of connection out here.
He's a real kid.
Yep.
Right? And could be arguably, I think, in the annals of history, of RailCat history. So I think these are all, like, I'm not going to suggest, please don't think there was some grand master plan here. But I mean, this is an industry, it's a close-knit industry. And we're going to leverage it as much as possible here. And I think this is something about, I'm sure that Jay has his own approach of how he's going to field the team. I'm very cognizant of empowering Jay to do so. I want to empower Lamar to do so. Different markets, different approaches, different leagues here. But that doesn't say there's two professionals, they can't talk to each other on occasion as they would do here. There's nothing saying Anthony and Andrew can't talk with each other, share best practices, and so those things help us out here. But then maybe going to your original comment here, we're in two different leagues, two different markets, two different teams here, and we're going to run it as such.
Speaking biblically, the first child always got a double helping. So, just saying.
You really think so? I heard stories that maybe, what was it? Isn't that no? There's another biblical story where, isn't it? Yeah, isn't it the son? The son goes off and comes back, and the good son's saying, Why, Dad, are you always good with?"
That's the prodigal son,
Yeah.
and the one that stayed was the older son. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
The first child gets
Yeah.
the double help.
That's your point. That's your point. But but the other point was that story goes to, it's like, hey, we're happy with both sons and both kids, right? And we're happy to bring the wayward one, or whatever you want to call it, back into the fold. How's that?
I like to say this, Joe. If there is a team that needs to have an owner that's invested, that loves baseball, that the fans in Mississippi are lucky to have you. It's a great thing to see somebody like you expanding and getting your feet into another team. I was excited about it. I couldn't believe it. And hey, it's great to be able to share you and your love for baseball in a different area.
We're having so much fun with it. It is a business. We got to understand where we can leverage it. We have to understand that there's two different, again, I can't say it enough. There are two different markets, two different leagues. We need to let the general managers and their field managers go run them. And that's what they're doing here. But when we can leverage things like that tick star, and gosh, I mean, David K and David Kerr go back a ways here. I mean, hey, we'll take it here. But we're excited. We're excited about it. And I just think you can't make it up here. When we were getting to meet Jay and interviewing Jay, and of course he was interviewing me, interviewing us as much, right? I always view this as a two-way street. It's two-way street here. That I wasn't as close to it, but I think others were. And all of a sudden I kind of picked up on, like, oh my gosh, this can't be made up here. Like, I didn't make this up here. This guy goes back, he's had a wonderful, he has a great experience and career in baseball, in on the field, off the field. You know, the Mets minor league coordinator. He went international. But then you go into the RailCats stuff. I mean, literally, if we built the RailCats Hall of Fame, he'd be in it, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
He'd be in it. He'd be in it. So I'm looking to learn from him and see what he does with us in Mississippi, and see where it goes here. And but we're excited about it. But just, gosh, you can't make this stuff up. By the way, you can't make up the thing. I think you guys know this about Jay. It's just I can't believe you can't make this up. We'll probably try to take something advantage of a promo type of situation, right? Fancy promo. We'll do the same thing in Gary with the kind of things that can go on there. Everything has its own market and old stories here. Um, you know, Jay, Jay is I think it would be called an uncredited actor of the Moneyball movie, right?
Yes.
Right? There's a famous scene where around the table and they're looking at the boards here. If you kind of zoom in on one
Yep.
part of the board, he's actually because he was in the A system at the time here. And so, I mean, you just can't make this stuff up, you know? So here's the promo. Here's the promo. Promos to come meet Brad Pitt.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
That'll
Well,
get him to the ballpark, huh?
we're coming on the last 9 minutes that
Yes.
we have here, Joe, and it's time for me to ask a crazy question. So I see you've got your RailCats hoodie on. Do you constantly travel with only a RailCats hoodie, or do you also have the 3M hoodie in your bag in case anybody wants you to have on a podcast? You can throw it on and be ready to go.
I'm on a trip here, so I happen to have my RailCats hoodie with me, but I also have a Mud Monsters baseball cap in my bag upstairs. Upstairs, so I don't have it on here. So I am ready
There you go.
for any situation because I'm going to rep them. I'm very proud of both, and I'm proud of what we're doing. And so I have a lot of fun with it. And I say this also, folks. Doesn't help my wife. My wife Pam. She's a wonderful supporter of me. And so I make these kind of comments as this. I'll never is just maybe too strong of a word, but for the foreseeable future, I will have the biggest supply of hoodies and t-shirts and jerseys and hats possible. And that's kind of true. I wear RailCats gear. I put Mud Monster gear on. I put the hats on. I love doing that stuff. I'm a pretty casual person, even in my tech business here. The last time you put on a button shirt, I can't even remember. I only do it on Sundays. Sundays when I go to church with the family here. So I have that, and then she reminds us that's a darn expensive hoodie.
Yes, that.
Oh, she gets you there.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
hat's even more expensive.
Yes, I bet.
So you always need a partner, I'm sure. And Chuck, I know you're a partner. They keep us really on the straight and narrow path, huh?
Yes.
God bless.
The good thing is that I don't have to, we look at these bats back here. There's a big price tag that goes with those that I'm reminded of.
Yes.
So
She holds that over your head and literally they're over your head. They're over your head. She holds those over your head.
they're all broken for the most part, and she threatens to break them again every once in a while. So
yes. So, but she's very supportive of it, but she has to get her digs in once in a while, and I'm easy pickings.
There you go. So moving forward,
Yeah.
with your schedule and everything, we've got cocktails with the cats coming up. Hopefully get to see you at that event.
You would definitely.
Hopefully get to see you a couple of times throughout the season. We're excited about it. I just love baseball. Kyle likes to talk numbers all the time, and I just like to see the guys out there succeeding. So we mesh very well together. But hey, my best wishes for a great season for both teams.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the service you do, the two of you do, individually and collectively, to do this. I welcome being a perpetual guest as you desire. But please, to you and your viewership, I look forward to seeing you Monday, May 5th at the SteelYard. Cocktails with the Cats. Great event, bringing together of so many different parties. Lamar and the team will be there. Our host families will be there. Many of our sponsors will be there. Public officials will be there. Season ticket holders. I don't know all the different groups that will be there because Anthony and the team do so well to get the invites out. But it is Monday, May 5th. I plan to be there. My wife Pam plans to be there. I don't have any other dates nailed down yet. Please don't nobody read into that. That's just more of a scheduling calendar thing. Pam, and likely myself, there's a Methodist gala. I'll do a good public PR for the Methodist Hospital. A great member of the community here and a partner sponsor with the RailCats has their gala, the Methodist Hospital's gala on Saturday, the 10th. And so we plan to be at that as well, to be supportive of that as well here. But definitely, I'm looking forward to seeing many of you on the 5th here because that is a great gathering. Hey, we start off in first place.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Right?
And Joe, I just want to get the approval now. I can take Kyle as my +1+1.
Well,
Hey,
considering that I'm not special. I'm not a host family member. I have family passes. I don't have season tickets,
Chuck,
but
we'll work open up we'll rig open the back door and slide him in. How about that? How about that? But it's
Great.
not but it's on your record on his behavior.
That's
I
fine.
take
That's
no
fine.
ownership of that.
You know what? We might have to, I'll talk to Brandon, see if Brandon can make you his +1. I don't know that I want to
No,
accept
we'll get him in. We'd
responsibility.
love to have as many people. And by the way, if you think there's others that would benefit because they enjoy the experience or help grow your viewership, help grow our fan base and reach out. I think that's one of the biggest things we're going to keep pushing out there. That's why we do our social media. That's why we are very supportive of the things you do I mean, I think it's very true. I don't have the statistics here and the attendance has been growing every year, but there's a lot of people in Northwest
Mhm.
Indiana. And it's been, let's call it 20 plus years, right? 2 decades. They may know the steel yard exists. They may, but they haven't come. Many don't even know it exists. And
Yep.
we have to work on it. That's not on YouTube. That's on me and Anthony and the team here. But that's our focus because if you just knew, if you
Mhm.
just came once, I'm so convinced you would find the experience so fun, so friendly, so part of family, so part of community. You would feel safe. You'd find it affordable. All those kind of elements we say here. You know it. Many people experience it, but there's so many that occasion when I bump into people and they go, "Oh yeah, I've heard about that. I've never showed up." And I like, "You're coming." So please, if you too meet people like that, let me know. Just ask them to send. You have my email. Just ask them to send an email to Anthony, or you send an email directly to me. Hey, I heard about this. Can I forget? Can you help me with my first time experience? Done.
Awesome.
That's-
Yes. I can tell you, I've got dozens of stories of guys that kids that go to their first game or have an experience that is off the hook compared to, what you think you're walking into. You think that you're spending $10 and you're going to see a baseball game, but you have an experience with players, you have an
Mhm.
experience with the manager, you have an experience with the
Rusty, right?
Rusty,
Yeah.
right? The fact that, one of the things I got one of the auction jerseys and AJ comes back with having Rusty sign the back of my auction jersey. And I was like, seriously, dude? He's like, it was Rusty. I'm like, all right, I'll give you that, you know. But
But how
stuff
can
like that where it's like, okay, the experience is fantastic. Going to other places, you're not going to get a better bang for your buck anywhere in Northwest Indiana.
Beautiful views, right? Great summer
Yeah.
night, beautiful views. The train comes by when you hear it come by.
Hmm.
On occasion, you get that. That's
Fireworks.
part of the backdrop, right? You're back the fireworks, the backdrop of the city and the broader community. But if you folks have any ideas or people have ideas, bring it to our attention. We think this is a great place for the church outings, Rotary clubs. Can we get this more schools?
Hmm.
And get the kids out. We do a big thing in our early games in May with all the kids coming out in the buses, right? The day games in early May are loaded up with kids. We think that's a great contribution, of course, to expose it to the RailCats baseball, but also rewarding kids for their final finishing up their school year and having a great the teachers of our community then having them come out and have a great time to kind of cap off the year, or we do back to school in August. How can we do some of those things? How can we not just have the sellout of Union Night that we had last year?
Right.
Yeah.
It is doable. Okay, we won't turn it into 50 right off the bat, but we want to go for 2 or
Yeah.
3. We're
Yeah.
not satisfied with 1. And we would love help from you, others. How can we reach out and get to certain people, groups, communities, associations that it's amazing here,
Well, I think that
even
the big untapped
untapped.
market is little leagues.
Yeah.
We have Little League was for me a big thing growing up, and it still is in the area. And seeing how other teams interact with their little leagues, I don't necessarily see that with us. So much so that I would say that, hey, the championship team gets to come out on the field for your little league, gets to come out on the field and gets to be announced, and you get a big round of applause from the fans. Stuff like that could be.
Chuck, that's a super idea. So maybe offline, you'll send let's get a little email dialogue and how we can do that and get connected to those. I wouldn't be surprised some of our front office team ought to do that. We just got to kind of get that final connection. We would love to invite not just the championship, the leagues, the entire league. Bring each team one night at a time, and then we do something special, of course, for the one that wins it all, the ones that make the playoffs. So however that works here, because it's just a great statement here. So we're very intent on that because as much as we've been growing attendance and growing engagement out off the field in the community with the kind of social media and all the community events here. Gosh, there are so many people, and I think you would know that. It's to me amazing, amazing. What SteelYard? What's that? And
I think
that's exciting in a sense of opportunity. That's also like, oh my goodness, really?
I think more people know the Hard Rock Casino because it's right off of 94, and
I
it's
guess
new.
location matters, and I get that. I get that. And there's a different part of Gary, right, in terms of where it's located here. But gosh, we all know this, right? It's so
Mhm.
easy to get to. You come
Absolutely.
right off it. You come into the parking lots. It's a safe, inviting, warm place, and
Free
it's
parking. Let's mention free
exactly,
parking. Unlike a
exactly.
majority of the league, free parking.
Exactly. And by the way, that's another thing just to tie it together. When we were discussing Mississippi, it was paid parking. We're going to free parking here
There you
because, like,
go.
hey, come on.
That's
Come on.
right.
This is crazy here, right? So we want to invite more people. It's so easy to get to. It's so easy to park. You walk a few minutes, you're right in that the outfield gates in. You can walk right back out here. Well lit area, all those aspects here, affordable.
Mhm.
So how can we do that? So I'd be happy to work the little leagues, the churches, all those, because you can have such a great time, and not only great time, but you can accomplish what you want to accomplish. So if it's little leagues, you're giving the kids another taste of teamwork and fun. And if it's a civic association, you can bring your group together to network and work together. Would love to do those things. And I think we have the second floor, especially to do that, right?
Mhm.
I'm just so excited to have a second season of Scott holding court in his area, right? I mean, that's a beautiful, the suites are beautiful, but I think one of the biggest things that second floor is that area where people can gather, the glass, and Scott.
There you go.
I mean, he is just he's the man of man of the second floor, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't know if I helped course it a little bit, just being a fan, but my mom and my wife work for the same company, and they rented out the suites last year, so I had an opportunity to go up into the suites and enjoy that for a full game, even though it kind of got rained out. But I would say that that experience and the new portion of the suites and the bar and the open back end and all the windows and all that, it is something that you don't get anywhere else. It is absolutely gorgeous.
For the baseball games and for non-events here. That's what we're trying to produce. It's
Mhm.
a platform for the community, the city of Gary, Northwest Indiana here. So that's what we're trying to do here. So if you can help us get the word out through this podcast, through your own presence in your own networks and community, Chuck, get us help us get teed into the Little League associations there. I'm all for it. We got to pace ourselves, right? Sometimes you can get, what's the saying? You work on too many things, you work on nothing. We really want to close and follow through, but please help us and give us ideas here. And even better yet, if you are willing to help us, kind of help us go follow through and execute on idea, happy to do so, because we're intent to continue to grow the attendance, to grow the engagement at the games, not outside the games, social media, all those things, but especially the SteelYard. I think the kind of one metric we have is we did one sellout, we did one full out. I mean, and I think we talked about it. It was just such a amazing place to
Yes.
be with 6,000 plus people. Why only once? Why only once?
So electric. It was so
Let's
electric.
do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. So we want to figure that out here, and we'd love to have your help here. This is a sort of hey Chuck, you don't have to do a plus one here. I guess we'll figure out. But Kyle, is your better half able to join you at the cocktail for the cats on May 5th?
Well, see,
May 5th,
so
Monday?
May
I
5th
don't
Monday
know.
is actually the day before my birthday. So, anyways, but no, she should be perfectly fine. She
All
won't
right.
be too pregnant.
How about
So,
this? Okay. Well, congratulations.
thank
I
you.
didn't know that. But if she is able to, I'm going to put it on. This is your task, Kyle. You
Okay.
got to get her to say yes and have her come. Of course, if she's able to, we would never force anybody to come. But you can't come. You can't come if she doesn't come. How's that?
That's fair.
Oh,
I will make sure that I go to work because I already have my days requested off for opening day when we're in Milwaukee and then opening day when we're at the SteelYard. So I'll make sure I get May 5th to
Okay,
request
May
that
5th,
day off.
Monday. Right, Chuck? Don't you think good? Kyle can't come.
Oh, well, if it's Monday, I work in
Monday,
the I work in the morning
Monday,
anyways, so it
Monday
won't be an
evening.
issue.
If
Yeah.
your better half can come, then you can come. But if she can't come, then you can just watch from the outside.
That's I want the let me in the meme where the guy's on the chains in the bar. He's like, let me in. And
yeah.
That's gonna be me.
Oh,
Got it.
yeah. Well, hey, hopefully she can make it. Joe, appreciate your time as
Yes.
always.
Thank you.
And once again, I hope everything goes well where you're at. Family is extremely important, and that's nothing gets in the way of that. Appreciate you visiting the wonderful city of Houston. I will be visiting the wonderful city of South Padre Island here in a couple of days,
Very nice.
but we will not be that far away from each other. If you feel like dropping by, just saying. But once again, thanks for having you. Thanks for the work that you're doing, both with the team and in the community. Appreciate it.
Likewise to both of you. Look forward to seeing you guys soon enough in person. Appreciate it all. Both best wishes to you and your families. And I can't, the season opener can't get here fast enough. And May 5th, even the preseason, just great gathering we do with Cocktail Cats. Please, everybody, pencil it in. Chuck, I know you will be there, and your posse will be there. But let's make it on record here. Kyle, you got work to do, or you're not coming.
You know what? As soon as I pause this and we get done doing our thing, I'm gonna go walk through these sliding glass doors. I'm gonna go right to the couch and I'm gonna say, May 5th, you're coming with me.
Okay. Thanks for having me here. Have a
Yep.
great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you guys in very, very soon.
The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike three. Wrap this one up in green and white.